1 year on, I'm still a massive fan of the iPhone 13 Pro, but having watched Apple's Far Out event last week, I couldn't help but lock in a pre-order for the iPhone 14 Pro, which should be with me in the next few weeks or so. And I'm really excited because although it's not necessarily an upgrade I'd recommend to most people, there are some key features that are really going to make a big difference to me, and I want to run through them today and just get a bit of the excitement off my chest. So to be specific, I did order the 256GB version, and as you can probably guess, I went for the deep purple. I feel like along with Pokemon Violet and this jumper, it's going to be a very purple autumn for me. But to be honest, what I'm the most excited about is that camera system. You know, you might think that the iPhone 13 Pro camera is good enough already, and it is incredible. It's been a massive part of this YouTube channel for the past year. But there are some small things that have always just really annoyed me about it and not quite made it the camera that I can use for absolutely every shot that I want to take. Without a doubt, the headline feature of iPhone's new camera system is that 48 megapixel camera, 65% larger sensor than the iPhone 13 Pro. It's going to work in an interesting way because although it is going to capture 48 megapixels worth of footage, it's going to render that down to 12 megapixels for most photos. But that process of taking 4 times more data than you actually need and then processing the photo down is probably going to make some of the best photos we've ever seen on an iPhone so far. But to be honest, the things I'm most excited about are just the improvements on some of the features that got added last year. Cinematic mode is one feature that I got really excited about with the iPhone 13 Pro and then never really used that much. As a reminder, it's a feature that allows you to do a form of digital film racking where you can focus on one subject, say in the foreground of a shot, and then seamlessly transit into focus on another subject somewhere in the background of a shot. And it looks incredible. It makes it feel like a really cinematic moment. It does have some issues with fringing the subjects, so it's not going to be perfect on this phone either. But actually the biggest limitation to me was that previously you couldn't use this feature while shooting in 4K at 24 frames per second, which is the resolution that I shoot at for these YouTube videos. That led to me using it very rarely, even though it's a feature that I would love to get more experience with. And so I'm really excited that the iPhone 14 Pro is actually going to enable 4K 24 frames per second. And I'm hoping that I can start using it a lot more in some of my YouTube videos. That's coupled with action mode, which is a brand new feature that's been brought to the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max. And that's essentially a really hardcore form of image stabilization that's going to give you a gimbal-like effect when filming with the iPhone. The way this seems to work is by using that 48 megapixel camera to collect a massive amount of data and then cropping into the subject and essentially tracking them so that it appears as if there isn't too much disruption to the shot. I think it looks amazing, but we're going to have to see exactly how far out you need to sort of crop in your mind before taking the shots for it to look really good. And look, it's not just about this YouTube channel. I've got a 6-month-old son, Gabriel, and since becoming a dad, I've taken so many photos and videos on my phone. You just wouldn't believe how many photos I've taken. And being able to capture those moments on the best possible camera is actually really important to me, and it's something that I'll cherish for the rest of my life. So upgrading this year, even just for the camera alone, is really worth it for me, even if the differences may be marginal to a lot of people. Another really exciting upgrade to the iPhone 14 Pro is that dynamic island. Now, it's a bit of a stupid name, I fully accept that, but the feature just looks so cool. If you haven't seen this already, it's essentially Apple's way of integrating the notch in a much more seamless and user-friendly way. So now instead of having this little lip that hangs over the top of your iPhone, they've actually brought that down into a punch hole camera. I was skeptical that this would really be something I would care about, but Apple's actually built this ingenious UX element around the punch hole. So now it looks like this little pill shape at the top of the iPhone that morphs into different shapes and widgets depending on the applications that you're using, and it just looks so slick and so cool. It's a massive engineering challenge to get things like that LiDAR sensor and the camera into the top of your phone without really detracting from the beauty of the design. And the notch was not the solution for a lot of people. I didn't really care about it, but the fact that Apple has come up with such an elegant response that really leapfrogs a lot of the stuff that Android phones have been doing for a while. It just exemplifies everything that I love about Apple and their care for detail. They wait a long time before they implement things in the same way that other companies do, but when they do, they generally do it in a much better way, in my opinion. And so I'm really excited to try it out. Beyond those two features, there are loads of quality of life updates that are going to make the overall iPhone experience a lot better as every year. It still blows my mind that they've enabled you to connect your iPhone to a low orbit satellite in order to get an SOS message away. Like, that just seems insane to me. But it's not something that I hope to use, and it's not really a reason to upgrade. Similarly, the always on display, I'm sure is going to be really cool, but I mean, I have notifications off all the time. I'm not really going to use it. It's just another feature that is going to bring iPhone a little bit more in line with what you'd expect from a flagship phone these days. So as excited as I am about a handful of features on the new iPhone 14 Pro, I wouldn't necessarily recommend everybody goes out and upgrades straight away. But the fact that I can trade in my iPhone 13 Pro for £550 and get the new phone for basically the cost of a new camera lens, I'm getting so much more than that. And I'm also getting something that I can review and talk about on this channel. So I kind of see it as an investment in intentional tech. If you want to support intentional tech and help me actually get to some form of monetization, then the only thing that I would ask you to do is just keep watching more videos. Like, help me get that watch time up. I really appreciate the time that you spend with me. And if you don't know where to start, then why not check out these videos next? And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. See you in a bit.